101 judges at all different levels, federal and state judges, are calling for the New York State Bar to revoke the law license of Todd Blanche. These 101 former federal and state court judges say that Blanche is a menace to the legal profession, and he needs to have his license immediately revoked. This was a powerful 69-page bar complaint that was submitted by these top former judges, and they go into numerous topics that they say Todd Blanche violated his ethical responsibilities. Let's take a look at their main contentions. Number one, they say that the settlement with the IRS, Trump v. IRS, and entering into a baseless and flawed settlement agreement and the creation of an unlawful anti-weaponization fund and granting an unprecedented general release of liability to Trump and his family is patently unlawful and unethical, and any person who followed the standard of care having a law license would know that. They say the settlement agreement violated DOJ policy and prejudiced the United States litigation provisions. The so-called anti-weaponization fund violates fundamental constitutional and statutory requirements. The Attorney General order provided Trump and numerous others with an exceptional and unprecedented global release of liability, all meriting Todd Blanche to lose his law license. Then they get into conflicts of interest, participation in prior matters worked on while in private practice, personal financial interest, personal loyalty, prejudice, and bias, dishonest and deceitful conduct, potential use of the judicial system to collusively whitewash the settlement agreement, potential conspiracy to interfere with tax administration and facilitate tax fraud, prejudicial conduct regarding the administration of justice, the abuse of the DOJ to target personal political opponents of Donald Trump, James Comey, Kilmer, Abrego, Garcia, and additional matters. Also, these 101 retired federal judges get into the Epstein Files Transparency Act, the failure to timely comply with the disclosure requirements in the law, the unlawful withholding and unlawful redaction of documents, releasing sensitive victim information, careless and inconsistent redaction and removal of documents, failure to publish justification of redaction as required by law. They were required to publish a privilege log, and Blanche refused to do that. So in this 69-page letter, they go into all of those issues right here. And let me just give you a little flavor of it, how it starts. Dear Grievance Committee members, Democracy Defenders Fund, Lawyers Defending American Democracy, and 101 undersigned former judges respectfully submit this complaint pursuant to Title 22 of the New York Compiled Codes of Rules and Regulations, requesting that this Grievance Commission initiate an investigation into Todd Blanche. It goes on to talk about Todd Blanche has been the Deputy Attorney General before becoming the Acting Attorney General. They talked about his confirmation hearing while he was seeking the position of Deputy AG, and that he promised that he would not engage in cover-ups for Donald Trump, despite the fact that he was Donald Trump's former criminal defense attorney. They go into his behavior in these various cases. And they said, you know, look, this is beyond the pale of anything that would normally lead to somebody losing their legal license. And so if there are any standards at all, Todd Blanche needs to have his legal license revoked. I want to bring in Harry Littman from the Talking Feds YouTube channel, Substack, and podcast. Now, Harry, this isn't just a random bar complaint, although if it was a random bar complaint, the state bar should seriously look into it as well. This is 101 retired federal and state court judges in 69 pages, meticulously laying out the New York rules of professional responsibility, the DOJ rules, which you're, of course, familiar with as a former United States attorney in Pennsylvania and as a top DOJ personnel lawyer within the Maine Justice. They go through it meticulously. And Harry, if in a normal situation, someone did 1/1000th of this conduct, you would lose your license. It's just a fact. I mean, I think about when I was a practicing lawyer, if I did anything resembling this, it wouldn't even be a question. You'd be referred to the state bar that day by the federal judge. You'd get a letter right away that the bar was investigating you. You would have to show up right away, and they would expedite and fast track that. And so I guess here, Harry, now that he is moving towards confirmation to be the attorney general, and he's still the acting attorney general, will that scare off the New York State Bar for now? Does this get kind of stayed and pushed into the future when there's a reckoning of all of this behavior? I think no matter what, there will be a reckoning. I think Todd Blanche becomes one of the faces of all of this in the future. I think he knows that. And I think it's a very scary proposition because he's so far in it right now that the only way to go is more in it, because any pulling back, he's made a full bet on fascism and authoritarian. That's it. And so to the extent democracy saved, he's the first person who's going to be, I think, on the list of people to be held accountable by people who care about law and order. What do you make of it, Harry?
Unless he has life tenure, of course, as Emile Bove did. So look, there's certain to be a reckoning. That reckoning is called the federal confirmation hearing of Todd Blanche. And this document, which is really blistering and lands explosively in the middle of the Department of Justice, has an eye on that as well. Understand the context here, Ben. This is against Todd Blanche, bar member of New York. So every bar member of New York and really all around the country have these canons of responsibility. Now, what Blanche has really done wrong is he's completely shredded the take care clause, completely eviscerated all the norms of DOJ. The abomination that he has everything to do with his complete disloyalty to his function. But this is engineered to accord with the rules, sort of be, laid over the rules of New York State. So what are those rules? You've named them. You can't have a conflict of interest. That's for you or me with any kind of regular litigation, but it's also for Todd Blanche, representing the Department of Justice, and his former client, Donald Trump. You can't do that. And you can't do, it's a general provision in all the states, dishonest conduct. That's for you and me. If, we called up and said we were someone who we weren't, that could be a bar problem. But it's also with Todd Blanche to the extent he makes misrepresentations. There are others. They're all kind of positioned within the New York Code. And this really sticks in the craw of DOJ because as of now, everybody in the department, that would include the Attorney General, must be a member in good standing of a state bar. As far as we know, Blanche is New York and New York only. And the disciplinary process of those state bars goes forward. And indeed, there's a federal law that says it goes forward, but the DOJ is trying to fight that, but they haven't done it yet. So if the New York authorities here validate the facts, forget about even the penalty, but validate the facts, that then really is a steamroller coming in to the confirmation proceedings. We have 101 judges who have said, and they very carefully, you could just say every single day he violates his duties, but they've chosen the three big ticket items that will be the big ticket items at confirmation. First, the slush fund. Second, the reprisal prosecutions. And third, Epstein. And they've compartmentalized each of them within the boundaries of New York rules. But the facts are the facts. So if the New York authorities investigate, and even if they don't, 101 judges, that makes him Cruella de Vil on steroids, right? Have put this paper in. You can be certain that everybody on the Judiciary Committee and all of their staff have seen this. And it's not like a random complaint. 101 judges that has real heft. So just on its own, it affects the confirmation dynamic. And I have to think, knowing a little bit about its provenance, that's a big part of it. Nothing illegitimate about that. And then we'll see also, yes, he could be in peril with New York State. But the big question for Todd Blanche is, can he get confirmed? If he's not, there could be more trouble in New York State, et cetera. But this, I think, will, in the first instance, be kind of exhibit one. Again, 101 former judges in the opposition to confirmation of Todd Blanche.
Look, I think Matt Gaetz is more confirmable than Todd Blanche. I hate to. I mean, they're both horrific human beings. But
I hear you. Yeah.
They're horrific. I mean, what Todd Blanche has done. If you can confirm Todd Blanche, quite literally an enemy of the DOJ, it would literally like electing Putin as the president of the United. Oh, wait. Everybody, make sure you subscribe to Harry Litman's YouTube channel. It's called Talking Feds. Subscribe now. Tell Harry in the comments that I say hello. Also, Harry's got a big event coming up on July 3rd in La Jolla with Senator Schiff. Harry, tell us about it quickly.
Oh, thanks, Ben. Yeah, one-on-one conversation. We have these periodically. They're really fun. TalkingSanDiego.net has all the details, but in brief, July 3rd, 10:30 in the morning, me and the senator and a live audience.
Everybody subscribe here. Subscribe to the Talking Feds YouTube channel. Put in the comments that I say hello. Thanks, Harry. Thanks, everybody.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.